What's up, y'all? My name's Tim Ream. I'm here today on the 65th day of 75 hard. I'm going to be doing quads and abs today. Today is officially the leg day. So on this quad workout, I am going to put at least one hamstring workout in there too, but I'm going to save hamstrings for a PM workout later tonight at the gym. That being said, I've got everything set up, and we're basically just going to get into some decline abs. Nothing super intense, but we are going to go to failure on the sets that we do. Going to treat the abs just like any other muscle, and do progressive overload. Try to keep pushing our limitations in that, as far as maybe rep range, time under tension, adding weight, some sort of extra stimulus that, we hadn't presented our body before. But anyways, got a couple topics that I would like to bring up while I'm doing the ab training, and but we'll get into them here in a second. I'm doing my first set and then gather and collect my thoughts a little bit, and then I'll talk about it. Shit, it's kind of crazy because after my back surgery, my core was super weak. And so if I added any rotational type of movements in there for abs, dude, it would just tweak the shit out of my back. But basically you had your spine in there with no muscular structure holding it all together. As far as any fit, core, core structure or muscularity there. And dude, that's just all sorts of problems right there. But anyways, I'm trying to say that if I would have tried adding any sort of rotational movements in there, it would have fucking wrecked me for 4 or 5 days, sciatic and all that shit. I'm just now getting to the point where I can start adding some stuff in there. Little rotational movements. Seen some other movements on some shorts that I'm probably going to maybe start implementing into my routine a little bit slower. But now that I'm bringing the body fat down in the core, I would like to start prioritizing and really building on a lot of those movements for the, like back extensions, the sides and all that stuff. So I can see myself, especially over this summer, starting to implement a lot of different exercises into my routine for core. So you guys might see some of that stuff in the coming weeks and months. Yeah, it was just straight up decline sit-ups for a long time. It's been like that for months. And I'm just now getting to the point where, with squats and a lot of the other movements, I'll build my core up enough to where, it's actually starting to, I can withstand all that stuff. would say probably, I know for me, whenever I'm doing core at least like 3 times a week, keeps off back pain. If I go 3 or 4 days without it, you know, I don't do any walking to keep my skeletal system. You know, whenever you walk and you're swinging your arms, you put yourself in a natural alignment. So just walking is super good. So if you ain't doing much walking or doing any core, man, I'll start to notice my back starts to hurt. So if I can keep it, seems like about 3 days a week at least, then it keeps me toned up enough and tight to where it's not, my spine ain't, I don't know, I guess is vulnerable maybe, lying positions, seated positions, all that stuff. So yeah, core strength's got probably a big thing to do with just all around back pain anyways. So not that it's the end all be all, but for me in my situation, yeah. One thing that I did want to talk about was somebody in the comments, they were like, man, you got like a really good natural physique. And I was like, I know, man, like I've got this crazy theory that you can actually grow your body naturally without gear. And it's super fucking true for me, because as far as I'm concerned, if you can't even grow your body naturally, you don't know the stress stimulus you need to put it under, you don't know the amount of rest, you don't know the amount of sets you need, you don't know the diet and nutrition aspect about it. If you can't even grow your body naturally, and then why would you ever think that you could skip ahead and use steroids or something else? I feel like you've got to get all of those fundamentals right. And if you actually can produce growth naturally, then if you ever were to go enhanced, then it would just be that much more. It would actually be enhanced, not a shortcut cheating method. And if you do that, if you just skip ahead without having those fundamentals underneath you, then I mean, basically you're just going to be relying on drugs. You're not going to be thinking like, oh man, maybe my nutrition isn't there. Maybe I need to reduce sets or some of this shit. Like, that won't enter your mind. You'll probably be like, man, maybe I just need to take some more, gear, bump up my cycle and all that shit. Like, and then you're going to start getting into pretty dangerous areas. So I feel like anybody starting out needs to grasp those sort of fundamentals and get their body to grow naturally. Because if not, then, I mean, if you can't even master that, whatever, dude. I just think maybe it's a more mature mindset, trying not to rush into things before their proper time. But, it is what it is. That's where I'm at with it. And another interesting statistic that I heard, that it's like 2% of gym goers have a six-pack. What the hell? It means 98% of people don't have a six-pack in the gym. And if you think about it, then most people, I broke down basically the 3 or 4 different factors that really serve to building muscle. And it's, you got to stimulate the growth with the right amount of sets, right? Then you need the proper rest in between in between your workout days. And then you need nutrition. And if you're not growing, it's one of those 3 things. But there's an interesting point brought up that if 98% of gym goers don't have a six-pack, that technically means they're overweight. So if they're overweight, especially here in America, then they're probably overnourished, right? So really, rarely, I guess here in America, would our concerns be that we're not eating enough to stimulate the growth. So if we're actually overnourished to begin with, then it must actually be the other factors, which is the training regimen that you have picked or the amount of rest in between the days you're actually going to the gym. It actually boils down to one of those factors. You can get into the macro concerns, what builds muscle the best, but technically, people who are overweight are overnourished. They're already eating too much food. They've got the essential building blocks there already. And so if they've got the essential building blocks there already, if you think about your Olympia competitors, like, dude, they might put on like 10 pounds of muscle from one Olympia to the next. And if you think about it, it's actually pretty significant. So let's just say that you were to put on 30 pounds of muscle, okay, over an entire year, which is a lot more than most people are going to gain, probably, whatever. Anyway, so if we're talking about that we're already overnourished, well, if you take 30 pounds over a year, if that's all muscle, say, technically, then it would come out to, 600 calories is a pound of muscle. So if you gain 30 pounds of muscle, that would actually be 18,000 calories. So if you have 18,000 calories divided by 365 days, you actually only need about 50 calories extra per day over your maintenance range of calories. And so everybody's definitely getting that, And there's like a metabolic cost to it too. So, it might be like, 150 or 300, but you don't need 1,000 extra calories or whatever to stimulate that growth. So what I'm trying to basically say is that ratio or that calories that you actually need to produce technically 30 pounds of growth is only 50 calories a day, and everybody's got that in their diet at least. So it's like, I just thought it was an interesting concept because, I've been talking about rest, nutrition, and stimulation are the three things that if you're lacking one of them, then it's one of those. But really here in America, it's not something that we probably have to really deal with too much on the nutrition aspect. It's more about our training and what we're doing and the rest that we're giving our bodies in between. Do one more set here, and then we're going to move over here to quads. Leg extensions. And you can kind of get into the whole, oh my gosh, yes, we're overnourished, but are our macros actually accurate? to build muscle. And I would argue that technically they probably are. I'd say that especially in the bodybuilding community, protein is very heavily overemphasized. Well, it's an important macronutrient. It's not the end-all be-all. All the other macronutrients are super important as well too. Fats for hormone stuff, and then carbohydrates is what your brain, your central nervous system, your entire muscular system pretty much runs off of is glucose and sugars. And your muscle is actually 72% water, not protein, it's water. And you got the carbohydrate. It's fucking, I mean, it's totally part of your essential macronutrients mix. And the recommended macronutrients mix actually is 60% carbohydrates, 25% protein, and then 15% fats. So if you want to get technical, you might not be consuming all those people out there who are overnourished in the gym. They're not consuming a pound of protein or a gram of protein per pound of body weight, but they've got the essential building blocks there. You know, there's a better macronutrient mix depending on what you're trying to actually do according to your goals, but you can pretty much say, I'm trying to eliminate the excuse that, oh, well, their macros aren't there. Dude, they're there, and it's enough to build muscle, for damn sure. So, just trying to take some excuses out of the thing and sure up my argument a little bit, but we're gonna get into quads now. Start off with leg extensions, do some good warm-up sets here with no weight, just to get my knees warmed up and all that stuff. And my knees feeling way better, and I'm sure it's because I've lost more weight, not carrying the type of weight around that I was before. And actually, I've seen how hamstrings, if you're strengthening your hamstrings, then it's actually pulling your joint, knee joint kind of tight, and it helps out with the structural stability. I mean, if you think about it, dude, if you don't have any of the muscular stability around your knee, then your knee is basically just a floating mass in there, dude. Like, so you got to build up those muscles around it with strength training, and then it's going to start pulling everything tight and pulling it to where it needs to fucking be.
The second one's not as good, and with a book like Can't Hurt Me, that was probably one of the greatest books of all time. Even with that in the back of your mind, thinking, how do you top the second one? Now, personally, I believe you topped it. The second book is better than the first. The first one's phenomenal, but why did you write a second book?
Well, the thing about it is, like, you know, Can't Hurt Me was, I call it your bachelor's degree. It was the very basic nuts and bolts about how to get the fuck up and stop feeling sorry for yourself. And the funny thing about it is that most people who hear me, they hear me cuss all the time. They hear me cuss, they hear me going off, carry the boats, carry the laws, all this shit. They hear all this hoopla, but they don't understand, man.
I'm gonna work my way up kind of slow on this. I'm gonna start adding weight though.
Great philosophy about why we need to get off the couch. I just need to spark your ass off that fucking couch. But when I write these books, I'm able to go deeper. I'm able to grab your attention, hold it, make you sit there and simmer on some of these thoughts. So my whole life.
And you can get into the whole supplementation thing too. Like, you know, this is something I don't really talk about on my channel because, like I said, I want to learn to produce muscle naturally. I don't want to bring anything else into the mix until I, A, feel like I need it, or, you know, I feel like it's essential, or, you know, I've got those first building blocks down. But, I mean, honestly, without the supplements, it's probably just going to take a little bit more time, which I'm fine with. You know, you're actually moving at your body's natural rhythm, and, you know, what foods you can eat producing the muscle growth to begin with, all that stuff, like, yeah, that could take longer if you're not taking supplements, but technically that is the natural rhythm of your body. That's natural, dude. So, you know, I'm kind of just going with the natural way things work. I'd rather comply with that than try to skip ahead and short circuit that process or, you know, rush it. But that being said, if we've already established that most people are probably overnourished to begin with, then it's almost like you're trying, if you're throwing supplements in there now, it's almost like you're trying to rely on a supplement, but still, if you haven't even stimulated the growth to begin with, then the supplements and the food don't even fucking matter, because you ain't even kicked in the growth mechanism into gear. So really the muscle stimulus has to come first. Know that you're doing it right before any of that other stuff would even be a concern, because, you know, it's just, that's the way it works. There's the growth stimulus, then you've got to feed it and rest it, you know? So it's really putting the cart before the horse. Do you even need the supplements? Have you even dealt with the first building block of this whole thing to begin with, you know? So it's like trying to rush too damn fast. And this whole process of reteaching my mind and going back to the fundamentals and just starting there in the bodybuilding and muscle building type of aspects has really taught me that, for one, I didn't know as much as what I thought I did in this area, and that's probably going to serve for all the other areas of my life too. Finance, you know, relationships, you know, I know with sobriety and addiction stuff, you know, the bodybuilding, all these different areas of my life where I thought I knew what I was doing in them. Like, now whenever I proceed into them, I'm always just going to go into just ground level fundamental basics. Because if I don't ever enter the fundamentals of that certain area of endeavor into my mind to begin with, then I'm basically just rushing off, going a bunch of different places in my mind that actually aren't actually practical. So this has actually taught me that if I'm going to learn a new area of endeavor, I'm going to have to start with the fundamentals and grasp those, no matter how elementary it fucking feels or seems. If you don't get that down, then anything after that's just bullshit. I mean, it's pointless, you know? So it's just been a good, I don't want to call it journey. I fucking hate that word, journey. It's been a good journey. Just been a good time, I don't know, whatever. Well, that's what I'll say. Alright, I'm going to start, you know, getting up into higher weights here, and then we'll move into these other workouts pretty quick here. I know I've been kind of talking a lot.
And I was front row. Shit, I was part of the fucking director's crew. I mean, that's how close I was to the whole thing, man. It was crazy.
And you say that when you're living in hell, the only way to find your way out is to confront the devil himself. You know, who was that devil for you?
It took several years for me to figure out who the devil was. And the devil was my father. The devil was my father, but what I didn't put and never finished was the devil was me. So now I put all this blame, and trust me, my father and a lot of people had to do with my upbringing on how shitty he was. But like I put in that book, no one's gonna come back and say, hey man, I apologize. Maybe someone does. Very few people will. So at the end of the fucking day, when all things are said and done with, while my dad was the devil, and I believed that for a long fucking time, I had to confront him. And I confronted the devil, so what I thought was the devil, I realized that I was the true devil. I was the one holding me back. I was the one looking for these scapegoats. And I was the one looking for all these ways to say, it's okay, baby. You're a loser, you're a loser, so it's okay. And I was hoping my dad was going to give me that confirmation. And he was a loser himself, but at the end of the day, when I looked
And actually last week I didn't even do quads. I did squats. I think that was pretty much all quad wise. But yeah, it's basically been either 10 to 12 days roughly since I did quads last. Other than that little stimulation with the squats, which I've been doing squats every leg day, but I've been swapping I'll get one quad workout on film, do hamstrings at the gym. Next time I do legs, then I'll do hamstrings here on film and do quads at the gym. So I've been kind of just, swapping them out. But each time whenever I film, I do Romanian deadlift and squats, which are basically for hamstring and quad. So I do hit them. But last week it was just too fucking much. I had too much going on. So I didn't end up getting into it. The quad workout. So, fucking probably should put a pretty good emphasis on the failure sets this week here. Technically should be rested good. So that's going in our favor to go past our previous limitations here. Yeah.
There's a lot of kids out there who live like you do, who have gone through what you've gone through. Maybe not as bad, but you're not the only one. And my grass needs to be cut, my car needs to be clean, the yard needs to be raked. He taught me a lot of lessons within the lesson of no one really gives a fuck. You have to continue to fucking live your life, or you can choose to be doomed and become a statistic. Like a lot of young people who fall back on the childhood isn't good. He never said he was good. He through his actions by not feeling sorry for me, by how he worked me like a dog, that it told me that this is what life is. Life is a training ground. And like going through college and very few people make it doesn't mean you fucking graduated at the top of the class. You just lived a long, boring, despicable life. And that's not what I wanted to do. So Sergeant Jack started me out young, and I had to learn these lessons on my own through the discipline of hard work and cutting the grass.
Whenever I start going into my bulking phase, this upcoming, after I do my full cut, I'm probably going to end up starting to throw deadlift in there and start building a lot of strength with that. Or trying to really put an emphasis on building and getting my weight up with the deadlift.
When a half-assed job doesn't bother you, it speaks volumes.
We're going to move over here to Romanian deadlift.
Start feeling a sense of pride and self-respect in the work you do.
For hamstrings, kind of pre-exhaust a couple of these muscle groups before we go into squats. And then fucking drive it home with squats on the quads.
Jack just worked me to death. And the lessons, he looked like Mr. Miyagi. Like I said, he was my Mr. Miyagi. But it looked like one day I got pissed off. Wax on, wax off. It looked like that shit. I was doing this, I started having different feelings. Like, I would always half-ass my work. And Sergeant Jack would always say, you know what, you're going to get it. You're going to do it until it's done right. So I got tired of continuously trying to get this tiny wall on this black tire completely done. And then when I started realizing I was wasting my time just to fucking get it done, I'm going to be out here in this fucking garage all day and night until the next day.
That's kind of the word I was looking for, overlapping. Yeah, I didn't do quads last week, but I was doing squats, so there was a little bit of overlapping, so there was some mixed in there. It's just wasn't the quad workout where you just blasting them. And hell, sometimes, taking just a week off of a muscle group or body part just allows you to come in here a little bit stronger. So rest, as long as you went, probably good 4 to 6 weeks, really high, heavy, and intense. Then a week off is probably actually warranted. probably going to actually help you recover more and ultimately lead to growth, because now you can come back and push heavier weight now that you're recovered.
Feeling this feeling I never had before. You know, like I thought I was a born loser. And just cleaning the tire and cleaning the car at the best of your ability changed everything. And not leaving one fucking leaf. Not one leaf. And then one would fall, and I would get that one leaf. It just became something that was like, okay, I see dirt, don't toss the dirt, clean the dirt. It just started absorbing. Before you know it, man, it just morphed. It was like, we gotta get it done regardless.
And David, I want to talk about this alter ego that you created, Goggins, right? And I'm curious, like, what led to Goggins alter ego?
Well,
Tell you what, man,
but then we always
leg curls for hamstrings, they ain't got shit on those Romanian deadlifts. I feel with those, you're just putting your hamstrings under just a super heavy load, and you're just shocking the fuck out of them. It's like the weight that I can do with those doesn't even compare to the weight I can do with a leg curl. So just talk about all around exposing your body to bulky, heavy weight. Romanian deadlifts, they do it.
When you're truly committed to something, not like where you like, you know, I want to be a doctor, but when I run into this roadblock, I don't want to be a doctor. No, I'm going to be a doctor come hell and high water. I needed that kind of commitment. And David Goggins didn't know about that commitment. I knew how to wash a car. I knew how to clean a house. I knew how to, do all these manual labor jobs. But when it came down to true suffering, to the highest of suffering, I didn't have that next level of, all right, motherfucker, we have this next level. David Goggins wasn't enough. So I went into my mental lab and realized, but I want to be great, but I don't have greatness in me. So I had to create a motherfucker that was great. And in my mind, I really big on visualization. If you make this all kind of bullshit, believe what the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. True shit right here, man. I went in my mind, that's okay.
Probably be good to have your hands evenly spaced, huh?
I want to feel like this, and I want to have a mind that is fucking cast iron steel. That is fucking never dull. That's always fucking. That was the biggest thing I wanted. I wanted to hit obstacles that fuck most people up, including myself. But I didn't waver. I didn't fear. I didn't run away. I just stayed and marinated in the fucking fear and the suffering. And through that, becoming Goggins, I would become Goggins with the mindset. And I was able to do these things. All my life, I wasn't Navy SEAL. If you were a Navy SEAL training ground prepared, you're going to quit. So I grew this training ground on my own. And I started doing these horrendous things that David Goggins couldn't handle. But Goggins started slowly on up. I started putting that visualization of the guy I wanted to create. And in that water, when things got hard, when I was training on my own, Goggins would appear. Goggins would appear. When David Goggins would come up, Goggins would smack him the fuck down. They say, no, motherfucker, we're going to drag you through this. And that's kind of how it happened over a period of time.
Oh.
And evolved. Goggins became the guy that can withstand all kind of torture and pain and keep coming after you. And that's where that next step was like evolution.
And speaking of Goggins appearing when you need him, in the book you talk about the Moab 240, 700-mile elevation gain of over 31,000 feet. You're 200 miles or so into the race. And I believe this was in 2020, but it was a time where I think you described it, you winning fortified or something. Goggins came out and you could speak to that.
Yeah, man, so like I said, nothing's permanent. Nothing's permanent. That's why I'm always big on, you have to keep what you want to be in the front of your mind. Because you're going to always lose it within the suffering.
Over the last 2 days, I've had 1,250 calories per day.
And most of them are not physical.
So I can definitely feel
Most of them are psychological.
myself having to power through on this mentally. Honestly, that's like my calorie intake, maintenance range for one day, and I'm consuming that every 2 now. Really trying to drive home this last 10 days of 75 hard, and what would be considered the spring cut, but really just trying to finish strong to see what kind of before and afters I can, and the differences I can put in within 75 days. I know I made some pretty good progress, but kind of pushing it to the limit at this point. Next year I'll probably start go longer and not at such a calorie deficit, and honestly I won't be out of shape like I was this time, so it won't be as hard to get in shape this time around, but I'll just go at it a little more steadily, be more intuitive with my body, listen to it. You're fucking tired, probably need some more calories, you know, instead of just trying to power through the whole time. Go with the flow a little bit more on it, instead of just against my body's natural rhythm and flow, just to cram in a goal. I'm honestly going to end up going with the seasons, to where like in the wintertime, I'm not going to have my shirt off anyways, so I'm going to try probably from fall time to, you know, like a month or 2 before spring. Then that's going to be kind of my bulking phase, where I get a lot of my calories and strength training in. And after that, probably, what is it, January, February, March? Probably March I'll start kind of a spring cut, March to June. And at that point, go back into my regular maintenance calories. So basically I have like 9 months of bulking, or just strength gains and decent caloric surplus, but and then about 3, maybe 4 months of just regular cutting for peak summer. All right, we're gonna go over here to squats. Caught my breath finally. Do 1 or 2 warm-up sets and a heavy set to failure here. For sure, at least 1 warm-up set.
A victim in my mind. I wanted to dominate when most people refuse to dominate. I wanted to dominate under the most harsh environment. And that's what happened.
And your pacer, Mike, I mean, you described him as so savage. What was his response to this? He said when he saw you come out.
Well, you know, he was used to me for about a period of an hour and a half, 2 hours. He'd be like a little punk. I would walk, I would run, I would kind of lean over. When I came out, he didn't know the David Goggins thing. I had talked to him about that there's another person that lies deep inside of me. So when I started running, he couldn't believe it. I started dropping my pacer. I'm 200 pounds in.
I'd like to have a safety stop on this, but I noticed if I go to my regular full range of motion at the end, if I were to put the like, it's got holes to where you can move the safety up and down, and where I usually go to quit my range of motion, there's no hole there. So the next best one is to go lower, and that's literally like ass on the fucking ground. That's too fucking far, so really don't have a good safety on this machine. Probably can just push it to regular all the way to failure and just let the, you know, the safety catch it. But it's got to go to relative failure to where it's like, okay, I actually can't get back up on this. So it is what it is, bro. Could try it. And actually, I stayed away from doing rotational type of sit-ups like I was talking about earlier. Deadlift and then barbell squat. Whenever I first started getting into the gym, my core and everything was so weak that I would strain my back with all 3 of those movements. So I've taken them out. And so now that I feel like my core's built back up, not really good, but pretty good and good enough, I think I could probably start throwing some of these exercises back in. And, you know, it'd be worth experimenting with them just to see if it was my core or was just the exercise itself. So it's going to be something that I'm going to probably explore. Plus, deadlift and barbell squat, those are incredible core building and compound workouts for just all around core and, you know, head to toe muscle strength and muscle building. So definitely need to explore that again. I'll do it once I get into my calorie surplus after the cutting phase. So I start messing around with them some.
Being in the situation that you're in would be defeated. And the person or people with you know that in that situation, a normal human being would be defeated in that situation. And you rise above the normal human being. So it makes all the people around you feel lesser than. Therefore, you own a part of their soul. Because in that moment, I'm going through Navy SEAL training. I watched all those Navy SEAL instructors who have gone through Hell Week, and now they're putting me in my class through Hell Week. I'm watching them because they all know that Wednesday you're all defeated. Everybody's fucked up on Wednesday. It's Wednesday. But I got the information. I know where you were on Wednesday. I know what you're thinking. I should be at Wednesday. I should be as fucked up as you are. I'm not going to give you that. I'm going to show you.
Might not be a bad idea to, especially on leg day and back day, since there's such a big muscle group and take a lot of the intensity, might be a good idea to bump up calories, 300 or 400 calories the day before I do them, just to give myself some extra fuel, maybe, just thinking out loud.
But you find more when no one else can. A smart human being will see that.
All right.
And you will elevate them.
These next couple movements probably take me about 10 minutes to finish all of them. We do one heavy squat to failure. And I'm gonna go over pretty fast to leg extension, hit one more double. With leg extension, drive that burn home. And I'm just gonna do some regular singles. One set to failure on each leg and be done with it. Let's fucking get it.
And we use it for even more ammunition. So take your soul and put yourself in an environment that most people won't succeed in, and you thrive in that environment.
Yeah, that was interesting because I think one person could see all this and see you in action and feel inspired, and then there's a whole other set of people that kind of have the opposite effect in the sense that, you know, in the book you talk about sometimes people feel uncomfortable around you because they feel judged, which is not true. You're not judging them, but really they're judging themselves.
I'll tell you the truth, man. I was a fucked up person. I had a lot of problems. But I'm gonna give credit where it's due. When you work as hard as I do, people don't want to believe it, but they know it's true. They know it's true. It's how I talk. It's how I look. It's a look in a person's eye. You know, they ain't bullshitting you. So you can think I'm lying around you, but in the back of your mind, you fucking know this guy's the real deal. So when I get around you, I'm like a lie detector. I'm not calling you out. I'm not saying a word. You get close to me. Like those motherfuckers, you put that metal detectors on the chest. You find that watch and saying. That's what I am with people, man. They get around me and they know what they're not doing. They know how hard they're not trying. And I bring out the worst in them. Because they know that, God, man, they start to judge themselves without me to say a word. They start to go through their own resume of life. They start realizing I'm not doing enough. I haven't done enough. And what that does in turn is it makes them very angry at me. Or whoever is working hard. Whoever that hard working person is,
and critics and haters and so on, but look, you can look at any of the
10 more days, spring cut.
They're all there.
So
and you talk about a strategy.
I'm at easily negative 1,000 calorie deficit. So 10 more days. It's around 10,000 calories of fat. 3,600 calories in a pound of fat. So times 3, 9. So it'll be 10,800. 10,800 calories. And I walk every day too, so yeah. That's an extra 3 or 4 pounds I'll lose. I'll be ending weight about 158. So I'll miss my target weight by about 3 pounds, but it is what it is. Just to be able to get down to this. Whenever I was at 215 pounds a year ago, fucking happy with it. I'll take it. What is that? 60 pounds? Is that 60 pounds? That's 60 fucking pounds in a year. Actually, we'll say about 400 days, a little over a year. That's just, especially the last first 6 months, 8 months of that, was just tweaking my diet and just going to the gym consistently and watching what I ate. Alright.
I'm like, man, you're exactly where I was years ago.
Sex failure on leg extensions.
I realized, man, the problem's not me. And it's special, man. I'm not here to make you think that. It's the truth. You'll never meet a hater doing better than you, my friend. And that is the truth. So what I do is I take all of that shit and I get all the hate, I get my phone, and I talk into it. When everybody says something, I talk into it. So then I power it. I start putting beats to it, different tracks to it, even new soundtracks, whatever. I try to put it on the loop. And before I know it, man, I'm like, damn, this shit's getting fucking badass. Who the fuck is gonna hate this content? And they're talking about yourself, and I'm listening to it. And before I know it, it becomes the ultimate tool.
Oh.
You like a motherfucker. They know more about you than your mama knows about you. They get all your books. They get all your podcasts. They get all your social media. They know where you live. They know where you sleep. They know everything about you. You knowing that, I'm gonna let you know about this too, my friend. I'm gonna give you some more fuel to hate on you, man. You do not like yourself anymore. So that's where all that comes from.
Well, David, I'm curious as to, with the first book, Can't Hurt Me, immediately goes to the top of the charts, New York Times.
I was smart and did calves yesterday.
Obama's book came out.
Instead of
I don't know if you meant to do this again.
let my rotation with calves fall on my leg day.
Second book, right
And they're like, oh fuck.
finish releases and boom, again.
It's just my legs are spinning after that.
How did life change?
Throwing calves in there.
In the first book and the second book.
My legs are all wobbling and shit.
David Goggins becomes a
I'm good, dude.
Financially, you're taken care of. You kind of look at things in terms of like, where's the motivation coming from then? And I probably used the wrong word.
Alright.
You're probably disciplined.
Drive home 1 set to failure with the singles, and we're going to call this
Like I said in the beginning,
quad day a success here.
just some fucking warrior. Some guy that push-ups and sit-ups and reps. They got us so wrong. They got us so wrong, man. Like, most of my true courage comes from the discipline of mind. And that's where my motivation was, is that most people put me in the category. They didn't know the sound beat that can write deep, thoughtful books. And some people things that can make you cry, make you happy, make you sad. That can bring you through emotions.
Oh.
I grew up and I thought I was stupid. I thought I was dumb. You know, I thought I couldn't read and write, all these different things. So the motivation for me now is that while I do run a lot and I do a lot of working out, that's why I go to school. That's my school, man. That's where I learn. That's where the deepness of my thought comes from. That's where the philosophical side of me comes from. That's where all my parables come from. I speak in like Bible terms a lot of times, and people don't understand, man, how deep I am.
Alright guys, that was the quad workout and abs for day 65. Appreciate you guys following along. Tomorrow is going to be a rest day. I like to give a day after legs rest and then a day after my back rest. So tomorrow will be just a rest day. Do a little bit of light cardio. We'll see, might throw something else in there, but not too intensive of a workout if I do. That being said, appreciate you guys following along. Please share, like, and subscribe if you like the way that I take you through the workouts and the material that I cover in the videos. If you don't like it, all good, we'll part as friends. But yeah, that was day 65. I'll see you guys.